In this lesson, we're going to solve inequalities and graph them on a number line. You need to remember when you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality is going to flip directions. So if it's a greater than, it's going to flip to a less than, or vice versa. The next thing on this video is when we graph inequalities, if it is a less than or a greater than, we can choose two ways to graph it. Either an open circle or a parentheses. If it is less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, that now includes the number. So we would either graph it with a closed circle or brackets. So now let's go through and graph and read these inequalities. So this first example, how we say this is x is greater than or equal to 2. Notice the alligator, I call this, is eating the variable. So that is greater than. So on a number line, I have a number line over here. We're just going to put a few numbers down. Let's put 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Remember, this number line does go on forever. What we have is the number 2. And since it is equal to 2, can also be equal to 2, we're going to put a closed circle. And it has to be greater than. So numbers that are greater are going to the right. So we would make our arrow to the right. If you were to choose a bracket, then it would look like this. A bracket going off to the right. And again, how you say this is x is greater than or equal to 2. The second example here is x is less than negative 5. So let's put -7, -6, -5, -4, -3, -2. Now notice there's not a line underneath this inequality. So it does not include -5. So we are going to choose an open circle. Now the alligator mouth is eating the constant. So we say it is less than -5. So where it gets less is going off to the left. If you were to choose the parentheses, then it would look like this. Here's your parentheses going off to the left. So you can choose either one of those methods to graph it. Either the open circle going off to the left or the parentheses going off to the left. Here are a couple examples now where we have to first solve the inequality and then graph it. So example A, -5x is greater than or equal to 15. And what we want to do is solve this inequality for x. So we have to think of it like an equation. How do we undo that -5? We're first going to divide both sides by -5. So I'm going to just first rewrite the inequality as it is. And now I'm going to divide both sides by -5. If you remember from this slide in the green, when you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality is going to flip directions. So we have to change this inequality's direction so it is less than or equal to. Now we can go ahead and simplify it. -5 divided by -5 cancels. We have x is left, and then less than, and then 15 divided by -5 is -3. Now we can go ahead and graph it. So it is x is less than or equal to -3. So we're going to choose a closed circle because it can include -3, and it is less than. So we're going to the left. This example we want to solve for x. So we want to first add 5 to both sides like we were solving an equation by undoing. And what happens is the negative 5 and the 5 will cancel out. So we're left with a 4x on the left greater than or equal to. And then on the right, 13 plus 5 is 18. Now we're going to divide both sides by 4. So the 4's will cancel out on the left. We have x. No need to change the inequality direction because we're not dividing by a negative 4. We're dividing by a positive 4. And then 18 divided by 4 is 4.5. So 4.5 or 4.5. This is saying x is greater than or equal to 4.5. So we're going to go halfway between 4 and 5. Put a closed circle, or you could do the bracket. And it's saying x is greater than or equal to, so we're going to make our line going off to the right. It's getting greater. Our last example, we want to solve for x. So let's first remove the 6 from both sides. So subtract 6 from both sides. The 6's will cancel. So we're left with negative, and then 4x minus 3 greater than, and then 8 minus 6 is 2. The next thing we want to do is we want to divide both sides by negative 1. To remove this negative in front of the parentheses. So when we divide it by negative 1 and divide it by negative 1, what happens to that inequality? It flips directions. So now we have a negative and a negative cancel. So we're left with 4x minus 3 on the left, less than, and then 2 divided by negative 1 is negative 2. Now we'll continue undoing. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. So negative 3 and plus 3 cancel out. So we're left with 4x is less than, and now negative 2 plus 3 is 1. Our last step is to divide both sides by 4. So the 4's will cancel on the left. X is less than 1/4. X cannot include 1/4. So 1/4, open circle, so it's closer to the 0, and it's less than, so we're going to go off to the left.